The finale of life is probably the most important ritual in one's existence. Of course, the perfect irony is that one does not experience it at all, or at least in a form that physical life can understand. We can therefore assume that these rituals are performed not for the departed, but for the living left behind. Grief is born from absence, the thought that one will never hear a dearest loved one's voice again, the idea that the smells of a favourite relative will fade and disappear. The awareness that you can never hold this person close to you again is paralysing. Grief is about what is lost. A single, silvery, slippery memory is all that is needed to elongate the life of someone gone. The final rite of passage sits in the minds of those left behind as a commemoration, the concreting of memories so that the journey continues. Memento Mori came into being after a preliminary site visit early in the year. A massive and seemingly empty plot on what was the BHP site north of the city caught my eye on aerial maps. What I found when I visited was on first glance a desolate wasteland, but closer inspection showed remnants of a story past intertwined with the beginnings of a natural remediation. My investigation into its story told me that the area was frequently inhabited by various Aboriginal clans and was rich in natural resources. English settlement saw the manipulation of the site to fit the colony's needs. Broken Hill Proprietary Co., or BHP, purchased the site in 1913, and in 1915 it began smelting and producing steel on site. BHP was a life force for Newcastle. Without a doubt, the facility brought a massive prosperity to the city and shaped its growth. Its closure in 1999 saw 2,000 men lose their jobs. The removal of almost all traces of the site story came by the gradual demolition of the industrial buildings. However, the more gruesome residue was below the surface, and action was taken to cap the flow into the harbour. My project has changed typology many times throughout the year, but the idea of telling a story has been central to its growth. How do we uncover a lost landscape without denying that it is, in fact, lost? Memento Mori, that was fast. Memento Mori takes its form as a crematorium. The commemoration of life, history, and connection is materialised through ritual acts. These rituals are defined by the journeys that both the living and the departed undertake. Approach has two meanings: the way we set out to do or understand something, and how we physically arrive at a place. The body is considered a physical mass. It is detached entirely from the spirit or soul of anything. A rite has both an individual and collective connotation. It marks the passing of an event or time and is the gateway to a different stage of life. Cremation is the reduction of elements to the mineral essence of their existence. To observe a wake is to keep a watch or vigil, usually as a collective. Wake is also defined as the trail left behind by something that has passed. Rituals performed on this site create meaning, create memory, and revere life. Rather than punish mankind for the destruction of the landscape, the site provides the ultimate veneration, the opportunity to be remembered. There are two journeys undertaken in Memento Mori, those of the living and those of the departed. The lineal journey of the departed intersects with the cyclical journey of the living for a final ritual, after which the living return to their lives and the departed go on to the next stage. The building's placement, the middle of the 80-hectare concrete cap, is a deliberate gesture. The slab is an island. The island is isolated from everyday life, but a landscape that surrounds it. The journey to the building's entrance is long, arduous even. The passage to the building is straightforward, but with multiple intersections where members of the gathering can enter or depart without completing the same journey as others. The final journey takes those gathered back to the beginning and back to land. The flat surface of the slab creates a physical separation. The living travel above the surface and meet the departed below the ground level. The open nature of the circulation means that those above ground can understand what is happening below, but are removed from it, and vice versa. There is minimal evidence of the building's existence above the surface. The majority of the activity takes place beneath the cap. The entrance to each ritual is marked by a place to pause. Ritual spaces are private, with services accessed from below. The approach to Memento Mori is thoughtful and unhurried. One can prepare for the task ahead. One last moment to collect thoughts. Viewing the body of a departed friend or loved one is a truth. It is personal and sacred. The rite of a funeral is made by the gathering of people connected by the departed. The departed have their final public performance. Those closest to the departed travel together until the body is no more. Once the physical person has gone, those gathered resurface, creating new memories with others left behind. The final ritual marks the continuation of life through those living. Stories are told to pass the time as the body is cremated. Once processed, the ashes are brought on board and the gathering leave, the ashes in tow. As the living return to their lives, the departed are released, dispersed into the flowing river, and disappear from view. The living return to land and the journey is complete. Memento Mori is inescapably about life. Today, the meaning of life is searched for furiously to try and make sense of why we die. Memento Mori explains that the meaning of life isn't found, it is made of memories that have no expiration.